Dave Kenworthy here. It's 8:50 on the 13th of the 6th, 2021. And we're carrying on with the theme of line 1 of Plimpton 322 and what the analysis can show us about the design of the Stonehenge Aubrey Circle and what it can show us about how these people, these Babylonians, were manipulating prime numbers. And again, we'll find a lot of very experienced metrologists who will tell us that these people were not manipulating prime numbers and were not manipulating pi. But the evidence certainly doesn't support this assertion. So let's look at line 1 again. It's 119, 120 and 169. And 119 is 7 times 17. That's absolutely key to Thom's megalithic yard, because the megalithic yard is 16 times 17, so that number 119 is 7/16 of a megalithic yard. And the next number, 120, is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And then this last number, 169, is classic because it's a square. Excuse me. It's 13 times 13. And we look here at the primes that are there in line 1, and we've got prime 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 is missing, 13 is there, and 17 has gone off the side of the page. Now that was there before, which is a bit disappointing. Let's see if we can get it back. And did you just see that? Maybe not. Oh, there it is now. Okay. So, what we can do now is think about this missing prime 11. Because we know the Egyptians used pi at the Giza pyramid using the 5.5 second. Pi is 44/7. Well, 2 pi is 44/7, but the mechanics of the design of the Giza pyramid is that the ratio between the base and the height is 44:7. Now that means that 7 in a circle is a radius, and we're going to multiply 119 times 120, which is 14280 by 44/7, and we're going to get the Aubrey Circle circumference, which is 897.6 feet. And we're going to think about what's happening when we do this, because when we multiply this number by 44/7, we're getting rid of that prime number there. Number 7 is gone. And prime 13 is not included in the analysis because we're only multiplying these two numbers together. So when the Aubrey Circle is put together, we're getting these primes 2, 3, 5, 11 and 17, and 13 and 7 are missing, and they multiply out to be 91, which is a season in days, 7 times 13, and a year in days is 7 times 13 times 4. And when we put in 44 in, we're multiplying by 4 times 11, so there's the 4. And what we've got now is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Prime 7 and 13 are missing, and now we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we've actually got that year that we're talking about, 4 times 91. So they've deliberately left out using pi as 22/7. They've deliberately left out prime 7. They've cancelled it out. And what they're doing when they're putting 7 times 17 here, they're leaving the megalithic yard in the calculation. It's coming to the radius here. It's still there. And it doesn't get taken out. It's still there at the end. So that's where the megalithic yard comes from. It comes from this line 1, and the primes have been manipulated in such a way that we know that this 89760 is absolutely intentional. But it's an amalgam of two different cultures. It's Babylonian if we multiply 14280 by 3.125. And it's Egyptian if we multiply it by 44/7. So we're into the design of the Giza Pyramid here, but we're talking about the Stonehenge Aubrey Circle. Obviously it's been designed using the same structure. And now we can look at what is happening to this 89760, because it's the ancient metre, 3.3 feet, multiplied by the megalithic yard, 2.72, but then they're multiplied by 100 each of them, because a foot represents 100 units in this system, and we get 89760 when we multiply those two out. Now, I was looking at time now. So if we divide that by 60, we get 1496. If we divide it by 3600, we get 24.9333. And if we divide it by 86400, we get this strange number. But I'm very familiar with this number because it's a result of multiplying by 10/9. So if we go and divide it by 10/9, we go by 10 times 9, 0.935 times 10/9, that number is. So that's broken down. Now 10/9 is Berryman's relationship, fundamental relationship, between the perimeter of the inscribed square in a circle. The perimeter of the inscribed square is 9 units, and the circumference of the circle is 10 units. That is the relationship that Berryman has established in his book Historical Metrology, and we know that when that ratio holds, pi will be 22/7. So these people knew what they were doing. They had a different way of doing things to us. No maths teacher will tell you that relationship, as far as I'm aware, but it holds, and you can check it and you can test it. Now, I've multiplied this funny number here by 12, and we get 12.466666 recurring. Now that's a much more usable unit, so that's got to be multiplied by 12 as well. But we find that there are 86,400 of these units when that's multiplied by 12. There's a lot more we can do, but I just want to show here that there's deliberate manipulation of prime numbers going on. And at the Aubrey Circle, we know now that there's another version of pi being used, and it's 1632/520. That's the version that I'm most familiar with. But it can be other versions of pi. It can be 40.8/13. And you can just keep producing these versions of pi using this system. So when we look at 22/7, it can be 1760 divided by 560. And it can be, I think it's 5280 divided by 1680, if my memory serves me correct. So what these people understood was pi wasn't a fixed number. When you use fractional version of pi, as long as the two fractions divide out into the decimal version of pi that we understand, you can have anything up there on the top line, and the and the denominator. You can put anything you want in as whole numbers as long as they work out to the version of pi that's 22/7. And they were aware of this. And they knew when they designed the Aubrey Circle that when they had this 89760, the diameter was 2 times 14280. And that diameter, when you break it down into the primes, tells us so much about what they were doing at the Aubrey Circle and how deliberate it was. So that's it for now. It's a very short presentation because there's not really a lot in there to take in. It's all fairly basic stuff. But when you think that that's the Aubrey Circle and this is Plimpton 322, it's a whole different situation entirely. And it's something that we should be taking very seriously now, this work of Alexander Thom. Okay, thank you.